Welcome to this explainer. Today we are doing something really fascinating. We're going to impartially unpack the core tenets presented right on the covers of Ryuho Okawa's intriguing book, The Laws of Prosperity. Now, whether you're a deep dive reader of philosophical and spiritual texts, or you're just kind of curious about how different belief systems attempt to structure the path to success, you are absolutely in the right place. We're focusing entirely on the visual and textual architecture of this book's cover today to see exactly how it promises to reshape our understanding of the world. Let's get right into it. Okay, so looking at this Japanese edition, you'll notice the wraparound band at the bottom. In Japanese publishing, that's known as an obi, and it clearly labels this book as the fourth volume in the author's overarching Law series. That obi is actually totally crucial because it acts as the primary marketing pitch to the reader. It lays out exactly what real-world value the book claims to offer, so it's not presenting itself as just some standalone theory. Rather, it's a foundational piece of a much larger, ongoing philosophical curriculum. Here's our roadmap for exploring this text today. 1. Calls for a new paradigm. 2. Beyond the moral culture. 3. Reality of the spirit world. 4. Theories on life success. And 5. Revolution through faith.
Starting off with part 1, calls for a new paradigm.
You know how paradigm gets thrown around a lot as an empty buzzword? Well, the Japanese text here explicitly defines it. It's laid out as a set of fundamental, bedrock values that are absolutely meant to actively shape and carve out a successful future. The text sets up this premise that the old ways of thinking just aren't cutting it anymore for true prosperity. Basically, a complete ideological reset is required for the reader to move forward. To achieve this reset, the author lays down these 5 structural pillars, sort of like stepping stones. What's really fascinating here is the journey these bullet points take you on. They start off in a deeply abstract, almost metaphysical place, and then systematically step down into highly practical, action-oriented mindsets. So let's look at how the author actually constructs this bridge between the unseen and the seen. Moving into part 2, Beyond the Moral Culture and the Spirit World. The book actually anchors its initial arguments in the events of September 1997. It points to the back-to-back deaths of Princess Diana and Mother Teresa as a catalyst to really spark a serious conversation about the afterlife. It argues that a person's destination after death, whether that's heaven or hell, is strictly determined by their thoughts and deeds during their physical life. It posits a spirit world where our normal concepts of space and time, they just don't apply. They're entirely different from our own. Interestingly, it acknowledges Japan's deep-rooted animistic worldview. Think of the spirits and yokai you might see in the 1997 film Princess Mononoke. But it argues that society ultimately has to evolve past animism. Beneath that Cantare seal, it advocates for a higher religion. It claims we need a definitive framework to teach absolute values of good and evil, and to explain the true meaning of life beyond simple human morality. All right, part 3, theories on life success. Let's see how this builds visually. The abstract thoughts for prosperity and thoughts for success translate directly into grounded, worldly applications, theories on life success and theories on education. The text makes a direct causal link here. It claims that by aligning your internal spiritual thoughts with the higher laws of the spirit world, you can directly influence your practical education and your physical success in life. It's essentially pitching a unified theory where spiritual enlightenment and material prosperity aren't at odds at all. They're actually 2 sides of the exact same coin. And part 4, revolution through faith. The text makes a really bold pivot right here. It claims that this revolution through faith isn't merely for quiet personal enlightenment or comfort in the afterlife. No, it is explicitly presented as a sharp, practical tool for escaping management crises in the highly competitive business world. This is where the paradigm shift literally becomes a business strategy. The implication is that systemic corporate failures or management dead ends simply can't be solved by conventional business logic alone. They require a fundamental revolution of the mind and spirit. By applying these spiritual truths, leaders can allegedly innovate and navigate their way out of seemingly impossible professional crises. Summarizing its bold thesis, the obi leaves the reader with this absolute overarching promise. It boldly claims that the comprehensive key to total life guidance, spanning all the way from the reality of the afterlife to overcoming corporate bankruptcy, is contained within the fundamental values of this single volume. It positions itself as a literal, all-encompassing manual for human existence. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to really chew on. Regardless of your personal beliefs, the architecture of this text offers a completely fascinating look at how deeply integrated spiritual paradigms might influence our approach to practical, everyday hurdles. How would viewing a standard business or management crisis through the lens of eternal spiritual laws and a revolution through faith fundamentally change the way we problem solve? It's a wildly compelling intersection of the metaphysical and the material. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep questioning the paradigms that shape our world.